Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever time it is that you're joining me. I am filling in for Lindsay John today for this Process Rules camp. Usually she is the one that runs it, but she is currently in Disney World. And I may or may not hate her. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Low-key Disney adult over here, so I'm really jealous. I don't actually hate her. I'm just jealous. So I will be running this Process Rules camp today. End state of this camp is to kind of give you a introduction and a little bit of a deeper dive into process rules, how you can create them and why they exist and how you can best use them. A couple of housekeeping items, of course, as always, as we wait for everybody to give them a chance to join, right? The platform that we use is called Contrast. Get contrast.io. They're an excellent partner if you are in the market for a webinar platform or service. But there's a couple of notes that I like to say. My nose, that felt like a bug. A couple of notes of what I like to say about how their chat works. There's about a 10-second delay between what you guys see on your side in the audience chat versus when it comes over to me in the speaker chat. This is designed to not throw a speaker off, right, as they're going through. However, I encourage questions to come through as I'm going along. Please, if you think of them, please put them in and we'll answer them. I definitely got ADHD brain, so I love to be thrown off because I get bored. So if you have questions, ask. Don't be shy. I don't bite. There's another thing I was going to say, and now I can't remember what it is. Oh, this is recorded. So if you can't stay the whole time, that's fine. I get it. There's a lot of strain on time. You will get the full recording sent to your email probably 45 minutes to an hour-ish after the live ends, so you'll have access to it. Cool. Oh, I remembered. Don't worry, guys. I remember what I was going to say. Process rules are a HubSpot only feature right now with Supered. So that is for our HubSpot partners. If you are not a HubSpot partner, you can still stick around. Process rules are very cool. I would love for you to stick around. I'm not kicking anybody out here, but if you're looking to have a process rule on a CRM other than HubSpot or a website other than HubSpot, you won't be able to, just with the way that we have them designed for right now. I mean, never say never with Supered, but in the near future, I don't think we have plans to put them on other CRMs, but I'm not an engineer. I don't know. And, thank God I'm not an engineer. I think our engineers would be really sad if I was. I talk. That's what I do good at. All right. Cool. Let's get into it. It's process rules. I am going to start this camp's is structured a little bit differently than how our other camps are. I like to start at the end with process rules. I like to start at where you can go with them, how they work, what they look like as you are looking at HubSpot, and then we'll backtrack and go into building them. So this first part of our camp is not as interactive as the second part. All right. So right here, as we're looking at this HubSpot record, these guys right here are our process rules. These are created by Supered and put into this HubSpot account. Now we're seeing here that we have errors on this record, and then we also have this yellow one, which is a warning, kind of just like a heads up thing. But as we're thinking about process rules, why they were created, if you think about how much data is held within HubSpot, how much data is held within your CRM, it's a lot, right? And the decisions that get made off of it, really heavy decisions, important decisions that get made off the data. What process rules can do is really help enforce processes with your users to keep data clean, to put in what you're looking for, to help them in their jobs, right? Every day they're able to know what's wrong on a record or what's missing on a record in order to keep that data integrity safe, right? So the cool thing, one of the cool things, many cool things, process rules are just cool. Something that I love about process rules is that they do update dynamically. So if I were to come in here and I see, I have a couple of these here saying, who's our competition on this deal? Close dates in the past, update it. Associated contact is missing. Provide discounts too high. All of these are providing me with the data points that are missing that my, maybe my sales lead, my COO, CEO, CTO, C-suite, alphabet soup, right? Needs in order to really pull their correct reports as they're going through, things like that. This is telling me, hey, go fill this in. You're not quite done on this record. Other things that you can do with process roles is really layer in information and training and all of the good stuff that your best people on your teams know how to do, just sort of either instinctually or based off of how much time they have spent within an industry. Hang on, sorry, ADHD, guys. I had a notification pop up. Normally, I'm really good at putting everything on Do Not Disturb because like shiny object syndrome. Awful. Anyway, process rules are a good way that you can put in these steps in these boundaries. I think boundaries is a good word for it, that your highest performers just do, right? And it's almost a way that you can kind of start cloning them and creating little mini ones where you have your people putting in the information that you need. Now, this demo right here is geared towards sales. So I will be talking kind of in the sales realm, but process rules can be used for any department, right? They can be crafted for any department depending on how you have your teams using HubSpot. But for right now, this is definitely very sales heavy. So speaking of layering training, layering information, layering knowledge upon a process rule, we have this more info button. What this is it's attached a card, a super card onto this process rule. So it can help provide even more information on, what does competition mean to our company? Like, what are we looking for? Why is this important to us? You can put that information there. So things, like definitions or just order of operations, anything like that, right? You can layer that onto your process rule. So not only do you have that banner at the top with the error saying that you haven't put this competition in, you can also put the training on top of it that says, this is why knowing the competition is important. Another aspect of process rules and adding cards and adding information, adding training is being able to say add discovery questions into a process rule to flag on a record that is missing in this example competition, right? So if I'm a brand new salesperson and I maybe am not quite comfortable with trying to drill down as I'm talking to a prospect to get the information to better position myself and my company, I can have my team, my manager, my team lead, my sales lead, whoever, create a process rule that gives sample discovery questions, right? And that's also a super card, right? So it's layering that training to really kind of grind down and really niche down and be able to get so much granular information just right where your team is working as they're working. So if I came in here, I'm talking to my prospect, I figure out who else they're talking to, right? And I find out that the competition is XYZ portal replicator. I can come in here, update that property, and my process rule will update dynamically if my internet doesn't want to fight me. Sometimes my internet's slower than Supered. There we go. So if your internet's faster than mine today, it will update dynamically and pull that out. If it doesn't update dynamically, obviously you can hit refresh and it will refresh it. So sometimes my internet is definitely slower than Supered is. Cool. So we've got that finished. And since we found out that XYZ portal replicator was our competition, we cleared out 2 process rules in that one move. It brought up another one. Another parameter was met where it needs to feed us this process rule, and it's serving me battle cards. So I find out that XYZ portal replicator is my competition. I'm able to have, my manager, my team, whoever, provide me with battle cards so that I can better talk to my prospect and win the deal. I think I'm going to say the other cool thing a lot, so bear with me. Because at the end of the day, I'm just a big old dork when it comes to supered and process rules. So, bear with me. One of the other cool things that process rules can do is, they can call attention to past dates. So if you have close dates or ticket dates that you need, like certain tickets handled in a certain amount of time, you can flag it that the date is in the past. And again, my internet's killing me on this. Stuff is cool. Hopefully you just you understand what I'm talking about. It'll clear itself out. Really throwing a monkey wrench into my plans here. Harkening back to when I said that you can layer your training, your information, your processes on top of process rules, so your processes on top of processes, you can add in a supered guide into processes that maybe need a step-by-step to explain why this is wrong, right? So on this rule specifically, I have that the discount is too high. And maybe I'm not as familiar with HubSpot as I should be. So I'm not sure where to find the discount item, like the discount line item, how to change it, how to update it after I add it in the first time, right? So maybe I don't have enough familiarity with navigating the CRM quite yet to be able to be comfortable to do that. With Supered, you can add in that process rule, create the guide, and walk someone right through it, right? So you can have this guide, this step-by-step that shows exactly where I need to go. Or I can come in here and do my guide me, which will pull me into, where I need to be and show me where I need to go. So it'll have me navigate to my bouncing ball, right? Follow the bouncing ball. That's that kind of training. So I'll click on edit. And over on the right-hand side, I've got Sidekick showing me exactly what I need to do, right? So it's telling me that I should add in a lower discount rate, right? And save it. And we're going to update the deal amount. We can end our tour, kick Sidekick out of here, go back to our deal. And it clears that out. Yay. That one, it almost updated dynamically, guys. We were almost there. Now I have one more error on here, and this is one of the types of process rules that I am obsessed with. This is cross-object validation. So we're looking at the deal record, but this process rule is saying that my associated contact is missing a lead status. So the associated contact is missing something, some information within its record. Sure. I love this because I would not have known that if I didn't have this flagging at me, or if I had, clicked into contacts over here, which I don't know why it's doing that to me. Guys, I broke HubSpot. I definitely broke HubSpot. Anyway, so to fix that, I would be able to click into the contact, update the lead status, and that error would clear itself out. Right. So that is kind of where we're going with process rules. It's how you can kind of start thinking about being able to craft them, and the why behind why they were created, right? Why did we make these kinds of processes? Why would we do this, right? Now we're going to get into the how. This is where I would love for you to log into your Supereds and kind of follow along, create a dummy rule if you want to. If you don't have a specific process that you need to create a rule for quite yet, you can follow along with the dummy rule that I'm doing. If you have an actual process that you want to go through, you can try and work along with us. And then if you run into questions, absolutely just ask them in the chat. But we're going to come back over into Supered. We're going to go into processes. I'm going to give you all a second, just because I need to take a quick drink. I like to make the joke with my my partners that they got the Chaos Goblin, because sometimes I am a little chaotic. You get all the information you need, but it can be a wild ride to get there. And I think it's probably because I'm always over caffeinated. But what's the fun in life if you're tired? Okay. So that should give you enough time to have gotten to logged in to process rules. Before we jump into creating them, there are 2 notes. Maybe we'll see. We'll see if that number's right. A couple of notes that I want to make on process rules themselves as a supered asset. As a supered asset, they are unique in the fact that they are the only supered asset that it matters which HubSpot account you are connected to with your supered account. The reason for this is process rules rely on the very specific schema of each HubSpot account. The other thing to note is this banner right here is going to be your friend. This is the one that will tell you which HubSpot account you're connected to, or it will tell you that you're not connected to a HubSpot account, or it will tell you that there's not sufficient access for the account to create a process rule. So what does not sufficient access mean? It means if we come into reconnect HubSpot, it will pull us over here. So If you want to get to this just by itself, you'll come to the drop-down caret and come into connections. And this is where you see which hub domain you have your supered attached to. So if I was given the warning in that banner of saying that the HubSpot connection isn't sufficient, it would be because of this guy right here. If this said no, then that means you don't have sufficient access. You haven't allowed process rules to show up, right? So I'm going to disconnect really quickly so we can go through that whole process together. I do like to give a little bit of note of caution with disconnecting and reconnecting. You need to be a super admin in the HubSpot account that you want to connect to because it's an app. So anytime you want to connect an app to a HubSpot account, you have to be the super admin in that account, right? So when you're going to connect, you want to ensure that this process enforcement enabled is checked, and then we can hit connect. It will take us into a window of all of the accounts that we have access to. And we want to go here. I want to go here to my demo account. If you haven't connected super to that account before, it will bring up the permission, right? If you want to connect the app, right? With any apps, that's true. And, we can double check that process enforcement is enabled. We're connected to the hub domain that I want it to show up in. We're Gucci. We're good. Let's go build. I did just say we're Gucci. That is such a millennial thing. Anyway, I just tattled on myself. Cool. So we're going to come into create rule. When we create a rule, these are the basics. So you can choose which HubSpot object you want the rule to appear on. So we have your standard ones. So like contact, company, deal, ticket. You can also do custom objects. So in this account, I have a custom object called commission. I can create a process rule that only shows up, not only, but that shows up on commissions, right? But for the ease of this, I like to do ones on deals. So if you're thinking of best places to put process rules, it kind of comes down to how your team wants to work with these process rules, right? So if you have them spending more time on tickets, then create a process rule there. If they are spending most of their time in deals, so on and so forth, right? So it comes down to how you want that to show up for them. Type of rule is the color of the banner. So if we come back over into HubSpot, we can see that we have, our error is red, positives are green, and then that discovery question one that we had earlier was yellow. That's a warning. So I like to make positives. We also have the ability to create custom colors, which we will cover after we get this built. We can go through kind of how that works, what that looks like. Internal name is to keep yourself organized. Best practices that I have seen from either other partners or how Supered internally uses it is if you're creating rules that are specific to teams, I would put team dash and then kind of just an idea of what the rule is. So if you are creating a process rule for your close dates in the past, you can do sales dash past close date, right? Just for example. This one I am going to call, I'm so bad at naming things. This like naming conventions is my worst nightmare. That's not my thing. That's why I love ChatGPT and names everything for me now. God bless AI. 4? Cool. Oh, excuse me. Display title. You can leave the display title the same name as your internal name if you want to. You can also change it, right? You can leave it blank or you can have it be its own thing. So what is display title? What does that mean? If I came back into the list view or the Kanban view of, my deals, my pipeline, this is display title, right? So they kind of look like a deal tag, but they're cooler. And I only say they're cooler because I work for Supered and I do think they're cooler. I think even if I didn't work for Supered, I think they're cool. I like to think that about myself. So right here, this one, contact missing lead status, that is the same as the internal name we gave it. And then one notification, I left the name blank. It doesn't have a name. And I can also change it. So if I wanted to change this to, pay attention to me, we can. Rule text is the description of the problem that the rule is representing. This is not the, I lost the word I wanted. Boundaries, parameters. This is not the parameters of the rule. This is just describing. So if we come back into this test deal here, the rule text is going to be this one right here. That's not how it's flagging. It's just explaining why it's flagging, right? So I am going to just say, yay. Now, if we want to layer our information, layer our processes, our order of operations, I'm really stuttering today. Anything like that, we can connect a card. So we can create a card that is very specific to this process. So like we saw with updating the line item, you can create a guide and then connect that card to this process rule. So you have multiple layers of information for how the process should go. This is where you do that. You would connect the card here. And we also have disable rule here. That is if you don't need it to be showing anymore, but you don't want to delete it quite yet, you can disable it so it doesn't show up. Design is specifically for that card. So we have display card and page, or you can embed the card. Meaning, if we come back over into HubSpot, this one has a card embedded. So it means that we checked the box, right? If we don't check the box, it would be that more info. So if I come back and reset this really quickly, get that rule to pop back up. Oh, now it's dynamic. Here's that. This is the default version. So without that box checked, it will have the more info and will pop that card out. That is fully up to you, your call, right? What you think your team and your clients will respond to better, depending on, just, or even the rule itself too, like depending on how much information's in the card, all that kind of stuff. Audience, if you want to use this for your clients, this is one of those features that does require a Scale or Pro license for them to be on in order to bring down the process rule to specific users or groups. So if you have a process rule, you only want to show it to, like, say, sales or your people operations, whatever. If you want to use it for a client, that client has to have Scale or Pro licenses. Default is all users. And then logic. Logic is where the fun starts. Logic is where you create those parameters of the rule for that to show up, right? So if it's missing data, if it's missing, if the close date's in the past, anything like that, right? And what I have found with the partners that I've worked a lot with on process rules is if you like building reports in HubSpot, you tend to really like building process rules. It kind of thinks the same way logically, right? So the different types of logic that we have, although I should slow down and ask if there's questions. I get excited. What can I say? And I talk fast. So if I'm talking too fast, don't think you're going to insult me by asking me to slow down. I've heard that my whole life. It's fine. It does not hurt me. I understand. I sent a Loom once to someone and they thought that it was on 1.5x speed and it was just on 1. So, that's who I am. Okay. That was at least 10 seconds. I haven't seen a question come through. Again, reminder, if you do have questions, absolutely ask them as they come up. Okay, so the different types of filters and logicking. Is that a word, logicking? Oh, it is now. That we have. We've got filter, which is your basic and or logic. So you have one field and it needs to be this or it needs to be that. Grouping is your Boolean logic. So that is if you have to have A and B be true or C to be true for it to flag. And then we have association. That is the thing that I nerd out about the most is cross-object validation. You can associate with that object. So if I'm on my deal record and I need something with an associated object to show up on the deal record, this is where I would go. But today together, we're going to create kind of a simple one, right? We're just going to use this and logic. So come in here, we can add in our and logic. I'm going to do deal stage because it's truly the simplest way to do this. I'm going to go through deal stage is any of. You also have options of none of, equals, not equals, right? Anything, all of that fun stuff. And then I'm going to do closed one. Now, before I click this guy, things I like to point out is my pipeline is in parentheses here. So if you have multiple pipelines, so like even internally with Supered, we have, you know, our net new, we've got expansion. So we have multiple pipelines to be pulling on for these process rules. It is important to get the pipeline on it that you want to have the rule show up on. You can add multiple. So if you want to add this in the closed one for every pipeline that you have, you can add multiple ones in here. So what I mean by that is it gives you another field that you can then add in for the other pipeline. So it's a good troubleshooting tip. If you have a process rule, you are pretty sure that it should be flagging on a record that you're looking at and it's just not showing up, double check the pipeline in the parentheses. All right, we're going to update the filter. From here, we're going to double check that it works, right? So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to pull this record number. If I can work my computer. We're going to pull the HubSpot ID, right? So that last part of the URL. I'm going to copy him. And then I don't even have to save my rule yet. I can just double check it. I think this is the same one because I just demoed this earlier. And this is telling me that my process rule is not working, right? It's not showing up, which makes sense because my deal stage is not currently closed one. So we save our rule though and come over here and we're going to shift him into closed one. It will give us our process rule. There it is. Yay. We did it. Now, if we want to go look at the change of the display title, we've got him right here. Pay attention to me. Ta-da. We love it. Okay. Questions on creating process rules. While you think of those, I am going to talk real quick on just the screen, how to navigate it, best ways to navigate it, right? So we have these ways that you can narrow down. So as you can see in this account here, we have a lot of process rules showing up. So if I forgot what I called something, which every day, guys, every day, then, but I know that it's, you know, it's a positive. I know it's a positive. I know I created a positive. I can bring it down to show only positive process rules showing up. If I forgot what it is, but I remember that it was on a deal, I can bring it to the object type and then also the status. If I have a bunch of disabled ones, I want to, you know, sift through and re-enable one of them. You can search them that way. And then tags. Tags are important if you are creating packages with Super to deliver to clients. So specifically for my Super partners, tags are the way that you can get the process rule into a package to deliver to a client. So you don't have to just recreate a rule every time within every single client account. You can just deploy it, right? So to create a tag, you just click on the tag and you type it in. I've created process rules camp tag. But if I wanted to be, you know, specific and this is for sales, I can create a sales tag, right? I'm not going to, but so we'll save that. And then I can search via tag too. So I can have it pull just the rules that are tagged as process rules camp. So tags are useful for two reasons: to be able to get them into packages to deliver to clients, and then also to have another way to sort, right? So if you have a lot, easy to sort through. All right. Last but not least, let's talk about creating a custom process rule. So custom process rules live in settings. So to get to settings, you can come to your down caret up here, or you can scroll to the bottom on the left-hand side and click the logo. So if it's your logo, if you're white label, or it will be the Super logo if you're not white label. You'll come into here and you'll see that in account settings, we have process rules. And like, obviously I have created a bunch because process rules camp, right? Some of these I wonder what happened. You can come in and create your custom type. And in here, you can add in your labels. So if it doesn't quite fit as an error, a warning, or a positive, you can add in a label. Or if you want to, if you're white label, you want to really get sticky with your clients, you can add your company name as the label, right? As you know, if you're doing like just tips or rules or whatever that you're wanting to create for clients, you can add those singular labels, the plural labels, fun stuff, right? Background color is going to be, when we're looking at this, the color of it, right? That's the background color. So if I come into my test deal. Background color means background, right? Cool. A couple of best practices for this is use the slider bar, or if you have your specific hex code, you can try that and put that in. Things to keep an eye on for it, however, is you don't want it to be too dark because otherwise you won't be able to read the text. We don't have a way quite yet to change the color of the text. It will always be black. So it's just something to kind of keep in mind. As you are creating them, you want it to be a color that's light enough that you can see through it. So like if I move this over here, you can see in my preview, you can't read anything on that. You don't know what that says. It's just this dark blue, purpley color. So just something to keep in mind as you are creating these. Border color does not have the same rules because it's just that color around the box. So it can be anything and it's fine. Icon you can change. So icon will show up on a process rule. So the display title. So we'll come back and we'll show you. This icon right here just indicates that there's a card attached to that process rule. If it doesn't have an icon on it, it means that there's no process. There's no not process. Wow. There's no card attached to the process rule, but you can change the icon. If you're a white label partner, you are able to add in your own icons. So again, that kind of speaks to staying sticky with your clients. You're able to create those, like use your logo, right? And so they see your logo everywhere as the helpful tool tips, all of that. They can rely on you. Okay. Once you do create a custom one, I'm going to come in and unarchive this guy so we can play with it. Once you do create your custom one, you can add it as the type of rule that will show up. So if I want to come back to that PRC one that we just created together and change the type of rule to this hooray, right? And we'll save it, come back in here and color changed, right? The background color changed, the border color changed. And if I come into here, we can see that the color of the banner itself is different as well. So custom rules. They're really fun, honestly. It really helps to kind of really get your brand where you want it. All right. That's process rules, honestly. So things that I would love for you to walk away with is just understanding that process rules are a unique supered asset, right? They do require to be connected to the specific HubSpot account that you want them to show up in. If you're a supered partner, each of your managed accounts can be attached to their own HubSpot accounts. They don't all have to be attached to the same HubSpot account, right? So you don't have to continuously like unhook and rehook, right? And then also keep an eye on that tick box. So this will tell you if you don't have the sufficient access for it to show up in. And then being able to go into your connections and double checking everything. So as you are troubleshooting, you're able to see kind of where your settings are at in order for these to show up. Yeah. As you go through and build, if you run into questions as you're building, you get stuck in the logic, absolutely use and abuse SuperJam. Myself and Lindsay John are over there. We are answering questions. We love process rules. We love the logic. So I am never sad if you want to DM me and say, hey, can we work through this process rule together? Happy to do it. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I know that there is a whole lot of pull on time these days, so I do appreciate and respect your time. Reminder that the recording will go out. I'm just going to go end of day because I'm honestly not sure at what time it goes out, what time it ends, rendering and processing and all that good stuff. And of course, as always, stay strong, stay awesome, stay super. Bye, guys.